What up, Viking fans? And thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. This is probably going to be one of the most disappointing videos I'm going to do, of the season, but we got to break it down. So let's get into the initial thoughts. Well, our Minnesota Vikings dropped the ball against the Detroit Lions. Final score 31-9. I mean, coming to this game, there were plenty of storylines. I mean, the Vikings knew what was at stake. The winner gets the number 1 seed in the NFC with the first round bye. Basically, quote unquote, the easiest road to the Super Bowl. That's what some people call it. The loser has to start their playoffs on the road, playing a 4 seed, going to LA. And the Vikings basically choked it off. They lost this game, and they'll be playing against the LA Rams on Monday night next week. I mean, it is what it is. But this video, I'm going to break down how I feel what really went wrong during this game and give you, my ideas of how the Vikings can, pull their bootstraps together and get on the road and be, a playoff road warrior, because they're going to have to at this point. And maybe they can make some tweaks, during this time to kind of get this team back on the right, page. But let's break it down to offense. Now, the offense was not great tonight. Like, they weren't. I mean, I never really try to go into the play calling bag too much because I kind of feel like there's so many different, nuances and intricacies that coaches go into when they involve the play calling. But on the outside looking in, this play calling was bad. Like, I feel Kevin O'Connell coached a bad game. That combined with bad offensive line play, especially in the interior. And then Sam Darnold had a bad game. Now, if you're doing all that on offense, it's really hard for the team to just, flip it on and start playing better. I don't know what it was. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, the game was too big for them and, they couldn't match the energy. Like, I just felt like that with the narratives that was being put out there that the Detroit Lions defense were basically on their second and third stringers, like, it was like this game was going to be a high scoring game. It was going to be a high fly act. Both teams are going to be able to go down the field at will. But I just feel like, what Aaron Glenn did on defense is remarkable considering with all the players that he has out. And he basically shut down our offense. I mean, he, got to Sam Darnold, rattled him a lot of times. Justin Jefferson was a quote unquote a pedestrian, like Jordan Addison was completely out the game. I mean, Aaron Jones had a spark here and there. Cam Akers had a spark here and there. And TJ Hawkinson, I mean, man, like, this was the game, bro. Like, this is the game I really predicted TJ to have a good game. And shit, now I see why he haven't had any touchdowns this season. Like, the drop passes hitting his hands, and it's ridiculous. Like, they got to do some soul searching. I know you shouldn't be doing all this off of one game, and we should be in the moment because, this team is 14-3. They are in the playoff. They still technically have a chance to go on the road and, go to the Super Bowl, but it's just a little bit harder. It's just hard to swallow, because you saw the way the team was playing the past couple of weeks, and they just basically dropped the fucking turd today, especially the offense. Like, I'm really putting this game on Kevin O'Connell and the offense. Like, everybody on offense, the whole offensive coaching staff. It's like they weren't able to get any kind of quick game going. And this is something that I've talked about on various other podcasts, especially with me and my boy Zoe. Like, I talk about it a lot to where it's like sooner or later, those long developing plays down the field are going to hurt you. They are. And it felt like Sam Darnold was rushing so many throws. That's why he was underthrowing, overthrowing guys. And it feels like as a head coach and offensive coordinator, you have to put your quarterback in positions to where he can settle down and get comfortable. And that's where we need quick game. And if you don't understand what quick game is basically getting the ball out fast before the defense can actually, develop the pass rush. It's just a quick type of passing, game. And we don't have that. And I feel like with us not having that within our offense, the slants, the underneaths, stuff like that, to where you can basically get the receiver in space and he can make a play. We don't have that. And that kind of killed us today. So, the offense got some work to do, straight up. Now, the defense, that's why I labeled this defensive setbacks, because the defense, they played solid for the first half. Like, I can't really get too mad about the defense. They played solid, but it's the point of the being, like, when your offense is not helping you play complementary football, you're being on the field so much, and Detroit started to basically go down the field on those long developing drives. The defense broke. And when the defense broke, that's when all hell broke loose. Like, Ivan Pace had an interception. Harrison Smith had an interception. I mean, in the first half, it was fucking even. But the offense basically left points on the field. So the defense had to keep coming out there and keep trying to get the ball back, keep trying to shut them down. Like, you knew Dan Campbell was going to be going for it on fourth down. You knew that. You stopped one or two, but then you didn't really even do anything else after that, because I think the defense got gas and they got figured out. And it goes to show Brian Flores has not beat Ben Johnson. And that's something to say. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of a lot of things I really want to talk about. I'm going to talk about it anyway, but like just some things that's been shown, but let's just keep it going. Like the decisions, right? Coaching decisions and adjustments. Now, Kevin O'Connell, I'm old school when it comes to football, especially on the road. You don't leave points on the field. Why are you trying to match Dan Campbell's energy with going to it on fourth down? That's their thing. Do what you do best. I feel the game got away because Kevin O'Connell did not kick field goals. And I think if he'd have been kicking field goals, that would have relatively kept the game close in the first half. But he continued to go for it and not get it. Now, you got to understand, if your offense is not working and you're at the point to where you're like, okay, we can't get any touchdowns, just take the fucking points. That's what happened in Jacksonville. And I understand Jacksonville is not the caliber team of the Detroit Lions, but they took the fucking points and got the hell out of that, because that's what the fuck you do on the road. Now, that was a decision that I don't do that shit again. Now, on the defensive side with Brian Flores, it's like, man, I've been saying this shit over and over again. The middle of the field is always open. What happens when this Viking defense has to play a good offensive coordinator that has a good scheme and that has the players to execute that scheme well? What is going to happen when you get a number one receiver in this league that can basically motion and get one-on-ones with your older corners? What happens with that? I'm not talking about Brian Murphy. Brian Murphy played a great game. I'm talking about the other guys. I've been saying this shit since the Ram game, and it's like a broken record right now. And it's kind of like you're gonna deal with the Rams next week, and it's the same shit. You have to make those adjustments. I do not want to hear anything else about, Cashman didn't play. Cashman played, and we got our ass fucking whooped again. Gibbs had basically fucking 4 touchdowns. Like, I've been telling people over and over again, that whole Vikings is a top tier run defense. It's kind of skewed, because a lot of the times the Vikings are beating teams and the teams have to come back, so they just stop running. And it showed that teams can run on this Minnesota Vikings defense. They have to make the adjustments. Make the adjustments on defense to where the middle of the field is not always open, and stop trying to pass rush and blitz all the time and you leave guys wide open. Stop doing that shit. On the offense, develop some kind of quick game to where you can get Sam Darnold more comfortable in these situations when things are not working, and don't leave points on the field. If you're in field goal range, take the fucking field goal and keep moving. All right, special teams. Now, we talked about this, a little bit, last week, and I told you guys how I felt about it. I felt that the Minnesota Vikings should go out and, sign Will Reichert off the practice squad just to have him in-house, just in case a disaster happened, with wrong name. I felt that the Minnesota Vikings should sign John Parker Romo off the practice squad from the New England Patriots just to have him in-house. I felt that way because there's something not right with Will Reichert. It could be two things. Either he's just not that good and everything he was doing beginning of the season is not truly who he is, or there's something wrong with him. I don't know. I'm not making excuses. But what I'm saying is he's not making his kicks now. The boy basically gave the Detroit Lions 3 points at the end of the half. Then he missed a kick. Like, there's something going on here. Like, figure it out. Like, special teams is as important as the other aspects of the football team. And he's not doing his job right now. He's really not. So I don't make excuses, but the Minnesota Vikings have to figure it out. All right. Injuries. Now, if you saw my, my live with the Detroit fan, report, I basically said the shit like, I'm concerned about Aaron Jones because it's like he misses so much, time going out with this, going out with that. It's like, it is like I don't get it. Like, he's banged up. I understand he's an older back, but this is why my whole thing is like during the offseason, you can either re-sign Aaron Jones, which is fine, to a nice team-friendly deal, which is cool, but you gotta bring in a dynamic running back for this offense. You really need to. Like, you see what Jamar Gibbs is doing with the Detroit Lions. Like, not saying like we need somebody like that, like we gotta copy that, but we need to have somebody like a younger running back there that can kind of, keep pushing. Because Aaron Jones is like, the injuries, man, starting to pile up. It's not looking too cool, I'm not going to do top performers, and I'm not going to do overreactions in this video. But what I am going to do is I am going to tell you my areas of concern. I am highly concerned about the kicking. I just said that. What the fuck is going on with TJ Hawkinson? Like, TJ, they gave you a breakout game and you dropped a lot of passes. You couldn't get consistent separation. I mean, I know Anzalone's a good player, but TJ, you supposed to be that dude. You supposed to be a top 5 tight end in this league. Like, you have to make a play. Justin Jefferson, you have to make a play. I understand that this was week 18, but we were in a playoff environment. Like, it was. And quiet as kept, if the Vikings do go to LA and beat the Rams, they might be right back in Detroit again. So you will have a third time to redeem yourself against, one of the best teams in the league. Like, this is why, like, I keep telling people, like, you cannot be too high or too low, because when teams struggle and they hit the wall, you look foolish. You get what I'm saying? And this is why another saying, it's an old school saying, whatever, that you can't put the cart before the horse. And what I'm saying by that is that there was so much talk throughout the past 2 weeks of, do the Minnesota Vikings re-sign Sam Darnold? Do the Minnesota Vikings do this at quarterback? Stay in the season. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that all this talk distracted the Minnesota Vikings, but something was fucking wrong with this team. They just got demolished tonight. Like, stay in the moment, make the adjustments, like, figure it out. They have to. You feel me? So, looking forward, excuse me. Excuse me. Looking forward, the Vikings will play against the LA Rams in wild card weekend. I think it's Monday. Now, if they want to prove themselves as one of these upcoming teams and they want to be, a perennial playoff team, i.e. Super Bowl team every year, they gotta go to LA and get it done. Excuse me. They gotta go to LA and get it done. No excuses. Win by any means. It's the playoffs now. If you lose, you go home. There's no guarantee of you playing next week. The Rams, they basically set a lot of their starters, today because they knew they couldn't move up or down in the standings. So it is what it is. Vikings have to go to LA, take care of business by any means. Brian Flores, fix the defense. You're going against Puka Nacua, Karrion Williams, Matthew Stafford, and Cooper Kupp. You've already played them. Figure it out, or they will expose you because Sean McVay is that dude. Like, you know how I roll. I give credit to dude. Sean McVay is that dude, and you lost to them already. Kevin O'Connell, don't get into the match to where you have to try to match what Sean McVay is doing. Have the play calling tailored to what the Minnesota Vikings do best so you can get the win and get the hell out of there. That's how I feel about that. Like, and the thing about it too, it's crazy how the shit is setting up because the Vikings early in the season lost to the Rams at home. Lost to the Lions at home. The next week on a short week went Thursday Night Football and lost to the Rams. Let's not repeat that. Loss by loss again. Step up, change it, keep it moving. Prove that you belong as one of the top tier teams in this league. You still have a 14-3 record. I still love that. It is what it is. But now it's the playoffs. You got to dig deep. Justin Jefferson, you got to dig deep. You're a leader of this team. So, that's pretty much all I got to say, on this game. It's disappointing, but at the same time, it's like I told you guys, I understand like the regression to the mean, but what bothers me the most is you got a lot of, content creators out there. You got a lot of people, on social media that don't believe that. They basically, when Sam Darnold was playing good, oh my God, we got to re-sign him, blah, blah, blah. We can't, he's playing so good. This team is not going to be the same without him. And then immediately when he has a bad game, y'all the same ones talking about, oh, JJ's the future. Oh, whatever. The one thing that I did get, and I'm going to say this, I'm probably going to make a longer video about this. I love everything what Sam Darnold has done for this team this season. I'm not finna throw salt on that shit. But when you're going against a team like Detroit and you're going to go against a team like the LA Rams, it shows you where the flaws are within this team. The interior offensive line needs to be upgraded. And that's just facts. You feel me? The running back position needs to be upgraded. Right? You need young corners on the defense. Now, I'm not saying that you can't re-sign Sam Darnold and still be able to get these things in the draft and stuff like that. What I'm saying is this team has holes. And I really, really hope and wish that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah stick to their plan. That's all I got for you guys. It's really appreciated. Like I said before, I've been seeing my channel, do a whole lot better since I've been a lot more consistent. But you guys know how I end it. Skol, baby.